Good day. For those of you who do not know us, we're the instructional staff for ECE 150, Fundamentals of Programming. That is, we are Professors Hiren Patel and Werner Dietl and Douglas Harder. This is going to be an introduction to the course. In this topic, we will go over the main sections of the course syllabus, and we will give you a warning about plagiarism. By the end of this course, you should be able to program computers to carry out operational tasks using the C++ language. You will be able to demonstrate the ability to perform both procedural programming and object-oriented programming. You will be able to develop and implement programs to solve electrical and computer engineering problems. You will be able to demonstrate the ability to test and debug your programs, and you will be able to demonstrate the ability to analyze your program's performance. To begin, a territorial acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live and work on the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. The University of Waterloo is situated on the Haldimand Tract, the land promised to the Six Nations of the Haudenosaunee people, that is, the Cayuga, the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, the Seneca, and the Tuscarora peoples. This land includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. The topics in this course will be broken into 6 sections. We will begin with programming fundamentals, including syntax, local variables and types, functions and parameters, the various operators, control statements, including conditional and looping statements, and arrays. We'll then carry on by looking at addresses and pointers, algorithms, classes, linked lists, and inheritance and polymorphism. Now, the lecture material and notes are available at the ECE 150 website at ece.uwaterloo.ca/ECE150. There is additional material that is available on the Learn system, which is accessible at learn.uwaterloo.ca. The instructional staff for ECE 150 includes Professor Hiren Patel, Professor Werner Dietl, and Douglas Harder. Now, the course grading scheme is outlined on the course syllabus, and we encourage you to read through that early on into the program. Now, your performance on the final examination material may affect the relative weights of other components, so please be sure to read this material carefully. We do have a late policy. No late submissions will be accepted. Now, how are you going to communicate with us? Email is a good way to reach us, but please follow a few simple guidelines. First, only use your uWaterloo email address to send email. Do not forward through Gmail or other systems. Some of our email accounts are set up to automatically send Gmail or other email addresses directly to spam. So please do use your uWaterloo email addresses. Put ECE 150 in the subject to increase the priority. We will see that you are a student in this course, and we will respond more quickly. Be concise and clear when describing your concern, and of course, be patient. We will try to respond as quickly as possible. You can also, of course, contact the TAs or the WEEF TAs as well. Now, collaboration versus plagiarism. We encourage students to work together. In fact, we want you to work together. Teaching others is the best way to ensure that you have mastery of the subject matter. You may assist your friends. We want you to. You should only examine another student's code, however, if you believe you already have a reasonable solution and they are clearly having issues that you've already solved. Don't start looking at another student's code in order to get solutions to yours. You should help the student you are helping understand the problem. Don't give them the answer. You are not helping them by giving the answer. You are helping them if they actually learn something from you. Never give the student the correct solution that you have. This is not going to help that individual, and they're actually going to become dependent on you. This is not a good thing. It is considered to be academic misconduct if you send your solutions in any format, including a verbal reading thereof. Yes, one student did that, to anyone else. And even if they then forward that solution to a third party, where that third party then uses it. And yes, that has happened as well. If you submit code that you are not the sole author thereof, you are expected to write every single assignment, project, or examination question yourself. Do not submit someone else's solution. If you essentially edit or dictate someone else's code, that's going to be considered academic misconduct. We may not be able to catch you if you simply edit someone else's solution to fix it, but we do consider that academic misconduct, and you should avoid doing that as well. Also, it's academic misconduct if you search the web for a similar problem and that has a posted solution and then use that solution. It's also academic misconduct if you get a solution from a student from a previous year and submit it, or if you find something that's very similar with only cosmetic or minor changes and submit that. It's also academic misconduct to post your code to GitHub or any other publicly accessible website, and then someone else has the opportunity to download and submit your code. Finally, it is academic misconduct to leave your computer unattended and another peer accesses that computer and finds your source code. You are going to be a professional engineer. If you were working for a company and you left a company's laptop unattended and a rival from another company found that computer and accessed it, that would probably be considered unprofessional at best. So this is critical. Do not send or communicate your solutions to your peers. Every single instance of plagiarism in the last 2 years had clear evidence that code was being shared between students. A few points to remember. You will likely think that there is only one solution, so sending your code will help your friend fix their code. Problem: there are many different ways to approach solutions in this course, and your solution is probably not going to help your peer fix that person's own approach. Your friend promised not to plagiarize. Problem: when a student is under stress, that student will forget such promises, and as the deadline approaches, the pressure will build to the point of being unbearable. And we've seen this happen over and over again. If the student, even under that pressure, did not have access to your solution, then that student will just try harder. However, as the deadline approaches, if the student has access to your solution, they will be more and more strongly tempted to forget their solution and instead submit yours, perhaps with a few cosmetic changes. A few other points. The person that's asking you to send you your solution may actually be your best friend from secondary school or even elementary school, or it may be a friendship that you've recently cultivated and you're trying to develop stronger bonds with that individual. Problem: we've actually had cases where the students knew each other since grade 1 and they ended up in a situation of plagiarism because one student wanted to help the other, and the other student, under the pressure, submitted the first student's code. Your friend plagiarized your code, got caught, including you, and then swears up and down and left and right that no code was copied. Problem: you've just lost 10% of your final grade, and you are going to be prone to believing your friend rather than us. And consequently, this is going to ruin your first year experience. Remember, each case of plagiarism was sent to the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies with evidence. And in each case, it was concurred that plagiarism was evident. Yes, it may not have been the intention when the student sent the code for the other student to submit the solution, but ultimately the other student did incorporate part of the first student's submission in their solution. Also, the evidence, although not the identities, for each plagiarism case was shown to a 2A class representative, and that student concurred that yes, in each case, plagiarism was evident. Also, you may think, but my code was perfect. Why am I being penalized? Issue: you have helped someone else plagiarize, so you are just as much to blame as the other person. Also, you are getting something out of the deal. You feel good. You get that automatic reward when the other student immediately shows you how grateful they are that you have sent them your code. Also, you've just scratched that student's back. You anticipate that they will have the opportunity to scratch yours in the future. That is, you help them, now you will expect them to reciprocate. So yes, you may not have really done anything other than send code, and your code may be perfect, but you are getting something out of the deal. Also, you may be from a culture that pressures you to help your peers from that culture group. Solution: so help them. Yes, please do so. But don't send them your code. It may require much more effort to help them one-on-one, but that effort will pay off, both in you learning more clearly the concepts of the course because you are now explaining them to someone else, and you are helping that other student understand the course material. So important. Help your friends. And if necessary, you may have to lose some sleep to help them, but do not send them your code, even after the deadline. Helping your friends will help you, as long as you do not send them your code. In many cases last year, it was clear that the intention of the student supplying the solution was trying to simply help the other student. They were not trying to facilitate plagiarism. They were not intending the other student to simply submit the code, perhaps with cosmetic changes. But in each case, the other student did succumb to pressure and submit the wrong solution. Getting 70% isn't that bad. Remember, when you graduate, you're going to be an engineer. And the more you work on the material yourself, the more confident you will be in your own abilities. So, this is critical. Do not send or communicate your solutions to your peers, please. As an anecdote, last year we emphasized this in Project 1. We emphasized it over and over again, and there was only one case of plagiarism in Project 1. Unfortunately, we forgot to re-emphasize it again for Projects 2 and 3, and plagiarism shot through the roof. So please, right now, just tell yourself you are not going to send your code to anyone else. You're going to help your friends, but you're not going to give them your solution. Please. Now, if you are found guilty of academic misconduct, the result is 0% on the entire assessment. And that's going to be much worse if it is the midterm or final examination assessment. There's also an additional penalty of 5% from your final grade per infraction. So the point here is a person who did not submit an assignment and gets 0 should get a significantly higher grade than a student who submitted plagiarized work. So again, if the assessment you are submitting is worth 5% of your final grade, then by either you or a peer submitting your solution or plagiarizing, that's going to cause your final grade to drop by up to 10%. And when you start going into an interview for your co-op positions, you're going to have a hard time explaining why you are such a crack programmer when you only got 70% or 75% in this course instead of perhaps 85 or 95. On subsequent offenses after the first, the penalties may increase. You may be required to take a selection of courses in ethics. You may get a failing grade in the course. You may get a 2-year suspension or a 7-year suspension or even an expulsion from the University of Waterloo. Now, how to succeed. Watch the lectures and do take notes. It's been shown over and over again, if you author your own notes while you are watching the lectures, you will learn much more. Much more information will be transferred to your memory. Practice programming. There is no substitute for solving problems using programming than actually writing the programs yourself. Clarify confusion early. Seek help from your peers, the WEAF tutors, and the TAs, and perhaps ask the instructors if you can't get clarity from these individuals. Don't just view the information once. Repeatedly reviewing the content will help you remember the concepts. And given that all of the lectures are available online, this should be more possible at this point. But again, don't just watch the lectures while you're on the bus or doing something else. Work ahead. A large portion of the course's material is already available for you to study in advance, so please make use of that. So, following this topic, you now understand the course's outcomes and topics. You know that the grading scheme is available on the course syllabus, you understand the policies related to plagiarism, penalties, and late submissions, and you have been provided with suggestions on how to succeed in this course. So good luck and enjoy Section 1. Here's the references, the colophon, and a disclaimer. Cheers!